Good. So main thing I would like to say today is please follow our publicity requirements and people will know about your project and everything will be fine with your project finances. The Bible of communication and publicity requirements for our program is Communication Guidelines. Now we have version 4 that hasn't changed for 3 years already. I hope most of you are familiar with it. You don't have to probably read it from first page to last page, but it is divided in sections. So when you have relevant communication element, for example, press release or promotional materials or website, just check relevant section and know what rules you have to follow. We have 8 mandatory communication requirements described there. And today I will also tell you about frequently made mistakes. So hopefully you won't make such mistakes anymore. So first mandatory requirement that I hope most of you already have is that each project partner should have A3 poster in his premises in a visible place. We have developed template for it, so you can use this template and you can also send for us for harmonization this poster. So we are sure everything is fine, all information necessary is there. Second mandatory requirement is websites of information about the project on websites of project partners. And there are few things that has to be followed. This information should be easily accessible with no more than 3 to 4 clicks, ideally less, but usually at least not more than this. And you should put, of course, program logos there, and it should be visible from the beginning without scrolling. And about Facebook, I will tell about later. Minimum requirements for Facebook. And here are, you can see also some common mistakes. When you are using our program logo with other logos can't be bigger than EU emblem in our program logo. I will tell about that more later. And when you are using logo versions of our program, please use relevant. We have different logo versions for different uses. For screens, for internet, you should use RGB file of the logo, and for print, it's EPS or SMIC file. So as I already mentioned, this information should be easy to find. And also, of course, project number or acronym should be there. And please also update it as the project progresses, so the information is up to date, and try to use good language. And please don't put project information about the project under project news. So make some sort of content order. So not everything is in one place. Make sections. So other mandatory requirement is your project profile on our website. And I think all of you already have done this, but please remember that it should be updated as your project progresses. Please add your project events there in our calendar, and also project news during the project, not when the project has finished. So nobody is interested then in your events that have already passed some time ago. So talking about Facebook posts, we received some questions. What are minimum requirements for Facebook posts? Here I'm talking about not paid or not promoted posts, because for paid posts, all the same requirements as for paid publications apply. So just for regular Facebook posts, please tag the program. Here is how you should do it. It's written there, and also in communication guidelines. So we are aware of your great stories and events, and we can share also it on our Facebook page. And if the content allows, please use also your project acronym in the post. And here are some examples from our hiking project that is very active on Facebook. They are posting every few days and with nice photos and nice stories. Well done, thank you. So another mandatory requirement is for our program is marking of infrastructure objects. For infrastructure works, it is mandatory to put project plaque. We will send this plaque to you by post. Just send us email and we will send you by post. And we have also developed templates. So if you want, you can make a personalized plaque. And also in cases where infrastructure investment in one place exceeds €500,000, there should be also put a temporary billboard already from the beginning of the works. For other infrastructure works, you have to put this plaque only when the object is finished. And it should be in place at least 5 years after finalization of the project. Another mandatory requirement is labeling of equipment. Labeling of equipment is highly recommended, but for example, cars labeling of cars is mandatory. And if you would like to mark some office equipment, just send us email and we will provide you with program stickers. For cars, this marking you have to develop on your own, because we have stickers only for office equipment. And here is my email in case you haven't already contacted me to request stickers. So about promotional materials, please follow our rules set up in communication guidelines. And I very warmly invite you to confirm layouts of promotional materials with us, because there are many mistakes made. So if you confirm it with us, so you don't have to worry if something is not correct. press release. We recommend to send out press release at the beginning of the project and at the end of the project. And of course, as you are working for a cross-border program, you should send it both to media in Latvia and Lithuania. And also we encourage you to send to international media. And what we have noticed in press releases is that some projects write only about what is being done in their municipality. But remember, you are part of the cross-border project. Please give the big picture of the project, right? Also, that's being done on the other side of the border, not only in your municipality. And to be sure if all mandatory requirements are there in the press release, you can send to me for checking it, and so you can be sure that you are sending out press release with all required elements. And we will also ask you evidence that you have sent out this press release, the press release itself, and the list of media to which it was sent out. Usually it's email and copies of publications. Here are some examples of publications we had last summer in Latvia and Lithuania. And so if you report articles, press releases as deliverable, it must contain program logo, project title, a disclaimer that the European Union is not author of this information, that the view expressed there is yours organization. You can copy paste this statement from our communication guidelines, and also RDF support should be mentioned there. And we suggest also to mention website, either your project or your project partner or our website, where more information is available. So we also received question about online events. The same rules as for regular events also apply there, that all promotional materials must contain program logo, project number, title, and acronym. And if it's possible, please use also EU flag or project roll-up. Here is a photo from our online event when it was still possible to go to office. Unfortunately, now we are not allowed, so I don't have program roll-up on the back of me. So let's talk about common mistakes projects are making. There are many cases when project name is mentioned or written incorrectly. So please check communication guidelines and just copy program name from there. We have translations for Latvian and Lithuanian. There are many cases when project number and acronym is not mentioned. And I already mentioned about distorted logo. Please make sure that you use print files for print materials and the RGB versions for online. And there are many issues when the size of EU emblem is not respected. I will tell about that a little bit later. And in many cases, you don't indicate RDF funding. It should be there. So, talking about program logo. Here you are seeing the most desirable version of our program logo. The minimum width is of the full program logo is 6 centimeters. It could be also a little bit smaller. Just make sure the text. It's possible to read text in the program logo. And very important thing, please remember that if you are using other logos, they can't be bigger than EU emblem in our logo. It doesn't apply to the project logo, but to other organization logos. If you can't follow this size requirement, there is a solution to put another EU flag that is the same, at least the same size as other organization logos you are using. And here I will show you some incorrect examples. On the left side is incorrect usage of our logo. This proportion is not followed. And on the right side, they made corrections. So here are some other incorrect usage cases of our logo. Thank you. So now I'm ready to take questions. I see that Vita is writing something for me. I will answer that personally later. So do you have any questions you would like to ask to clarify? Please go ahead. Write in chat or ask with camera and microphone.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, great. Go on, Marta.
So to ask, so if we're doing building works inside and outside the building, where should be the mark of the project? Inside or outside, or just one?
Outside is enough. But for example, if you are buying some equipment, you should also put program plug in the premises where this equipment is being kept.
All right.
But yes, if you are doing indoor and outdoor works, just one plug is fine outside.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Everything is clear. That's good. So now I will invite to test your knowledge in a small Slido quiz. I will send you Slido link in chat. And I see. I have sent a link to Slido quiz. Can you open it? It's better if you open it in browser. You can also open it on phone, but as there are some small photos, it will be better if you do it on your computer. Oh, great. We have already many people joining us. Let's wait 1 minute more. Please be fast also with answering questions, because for 3 of the best of you, we will send some small program souvenirs, something for your phone. How many we have? I can't really see because 35. Good, so I think we can start. First question. Which program name is correct to be used in official communication? Here you can choose 2 answers. 2 answers are correct, so you should choose 2. Thank you. Almost most of you are correct. First and last are correct names of the program. Please don't use Latvia-Lithuania program or Latlit program in official communication. So let's go to the second question. Which of the following activities is not mandatory? What do you think? If you listen carefully, it should be easy for you to answer. Yes, the correct answer is marking of equipment with stickers is not mandatory. Marking of specialized cars with stickers is mandatory. Only marking of equipment with stickers is not mandatory. All other things mentioned here is mandatory. Please be aware. Is this logo correct for print website? As I already mentioned, we have many versions of our logo for different use. And what do you think? Is this appropriate for print or website? This version. Correct are those who said no, because for print and print, I mean like books, brochures, or articles, and the websites, there is a plenty of space. So full-size logo of the program should be used. This kind of logo you can use for promotional materials, for pens, where you don't have a big space, large space for printing. Is this is here our logo used correctly in this example? I talked about this before, so it should be pretty easy to answer if you listened carefully. Yes, no. The correct answer is no, because the proportion of our program logo and other logos is not followed. This is very frequently made mistake, so please remember. And the last question is non-compliance with publicity requirements may result with a financial correction. I would like to scare you a little bit. So what do you think? Why it's important? Yes, the correct answer is yes, it may result with a financial correction. And we have had, unfortunately, such experience with some projects. So please, once again, follow our communication guidelines. And if in doubt, please contact me or my colleague Inga or your project manager to check whether everything is fine with your communication material. So now let's see the results. Oh, we have 5 best results here, and 3 best of you, please send me private message in chat or send me email with your address so we can send you some program souvenirs for your phone. Thank you everyone for participation. I see that the hardest question was which of the following activities is not mandatory. Yes, because you were split between choices, but only one was not mandatory. It was marking of equipment. It was not mandatory activity. So thank you everyone for listening to this important information. Hopefully there will be less mistakes made. And now I would like to give floor to our experienced EU affairs specialist, Ansis Bogustovs, who has many years of TV experience and seen how many press releases you think you have read? 10,000 probably.
Oh, I think millions of them.
So you see, you have to try very hard to get Ansis' attention. So maybe he can tell how you can succeed to stand out of others, of hundreds of press releases he is seeing every day.
Yeah. Well, let's start with a small quiz. Do you see my presentation actually? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So let's start with a small quiz. How many press releases I deleted already from my inbox, since I was deleting them every day? And even yesterday I did delete my press releases, and many of them came during the night, during this morning. I'm of course part of EU mailing lists and different local communities, different organizations. Yes, I am a journalist. I feed myself with these press releases and I hate them in the same time. So what do you think is the average number of press releases I'm deleting every day in my inbox? Being a journalist for now 25 years, so it means that my answersb@hotmail.com is a kind of funny version, the old school. Yes, I'm not a hipster, but I'm using old school Hotmail, and still I receive many things from many sides of the, let's say, universe. And some people think that I'm kind of reading all of them. And this is like a first mistake, to think that the journalists are reading these press releases. So they are not reading, they are just clicking. And by clicking before deleting, they are sometimes reading them just in the case of something interesting comes in my eye. Usually it's a left one. Oh, well, this is a left one. Now, can I ask Eva Druveniece, what do you think? What is exactly the number of press releases I deleted during last 10 minutes by not reading them?
Hello.
Yes, hi.
In last 10 minutes? Or
Yes.
during the day? Well,
So for whole day, it's a different statistics, of course. There will be like 3 times more coming in during the day. I will have this hating them during the day for at least 3 or 4 times still. But the first session of deleting already happened. So how many was the first portion?
Well, I don't know. As you said, you have emails from all around the universe, maybe 50?
Yeah, well, 50 will be during the bad day because of these terrible news will come up now from all the organizations. Happy Eastern or something like this, like really hating them. It will be more than 200 probably during today and tomorrow. So 50 is too much, but 20, 25 I deleted already. Yes, yes. So just for you to know how we do receive it. But before we go there, hopefully everyone is already adult. No children are here. I want to like reply to this big question, why it is your last option to pay to be published. I know how much you hate journalist behavior. I know how much we kind of, like Yanis just asked you to really respect all the regulations, and we journalists are the filters who are really hating these logos and deleting them at first. Even you put them in the right dimensions and proportions of the sizes and etc. As much logos you put, as much logos we delete, yes, but this is not the only way. So the only way probably is then to pay. But I think this picture might remind you what will happen. So I'm sorry to say, but virginity, let's call it, you lose it once in your lifetime, huh? And that's it. So I choose it, you know, not to poison feelings of the people who believe in a Christian God and in this miracle that will happen during the Eastern. But will it be in any religion? We believe that this is something like to be not neglected. This first experience in your lifetime, and if you do your first experience in your lifetime with your wallet, and you go and buy journalist, you actually make me not this beautiful bride. You make me a kind of prostitute, huh? And these feelings are not good. This is why I'd like to come back to this small place. Do not pay, but please attract me, educate me, inform me. Yes, it's my job. It's a journalist's job to interact society. But it's since you are now head of or general manager of this your project, you are obliged to inform, to attract, to educate. And I really much hope that you will find out how to do it during these small sessions here today. So why can I talk about this, or why Yanis was using this funny name normally for journalists, but asking me to be a kind of EU affairs expert. I was working in not only in Brussels or Moscow or even Baltic correspondent. You know, I was crossing the border of Latvia and Lithuania every week. That was in the previous century when I was a correspondent in Baltic countries. But then when I came back, and you probably know Linas Balsys, the press officer of your previous president, Dalia Grybauskaite. So I was more or less the same Linas Balsys from Brussels, and we worked very much together. But Linas went to president's office, and I went to journalism in this interesting program, Eirobusiņš, which was actually the how does European money works in Latvia, and this was on air for many years in Latvia. So this probably made me really see the project managers around actually many countries, even in Central Europe and everywhere. We made the stories from there, just for you to know like my background. And I also worked very much with diaspora, even Latvian diaspora in Lithuania, or Lithuanian diaspora in Latvia, which is actually one of the largest diaspora. Do you know that 4% of Latvian inhabitants are Lithuanians by statistics? So congratulations, you are a big nation. You are everywhere, dear friends. And then I also now work in Riga TV24, which is actual news program, which is not too much related to international affairs beside the Globus, the program I'm governing. Now, just to give you a background. So when you speak about the communication and how to attract journalists, and this was one of the largest question in this Slido event when we started this morning, can I please comment a little bit from the side of journalists? How do you, the project managers, perceive yourself, and how do you behave when you try to contact me or I'm trying to contact you? Because yes, there are some surprises in the world that sometimes journalists are calling and asking questions to you instead of normally you would, you know, pay to journalists to be interested in my story. So first thing is to listen. And to listen means that journalists, yes, we unfortunately have our own agenda, and our own agenda means that probably we are searching for your beautiful project as actually one of examples of something bigger, of something in a context, of something that shows. And it doesn't mean always that we are searching, for example, that is a big project of corruption and, you know, the city mayor was, you know, doing bad things with European money, or well, yes, of course. Usually when journalist is calling, then it means, oh my God, it starts, you know, there will be a bad story in the press. Well, it's not always. I don't think if you didn't bribe anyone, then you are not to be, you know, judged. And I think you didn't, because I know how qualified and how double checking and how, you know, good is the control of European projects, and you know it yourself as well. So I would say that if you realize a European project, you cannot be most probably the one who stole the money of taxpayers. So you don't have a reason to be afraid of me. Huh? And this is this friendliness or friendliness. So please listen to me what I need from your, is it just an example? Yes, of course, use my interest to you, and please inform me about 1 more or 7 more projects that you are probably manager of. Yes, it might be interesting. It might be interesting not today. I will learn it, I will memorize it, and I will use it next time. So sometimes when journalists have an interest, please use this opportunity to inform me about this interesting thing and that interesting thing. And there is, you know, interesting conference next summer when, you know, we will, you know, I'm just now filing this project and I'm not realizing it yet. It's not confirmed by European money or agency or something, but it will come to me. And the most important thing for you as a project manager is the thing that you don't have yet. because Yanis was mentioning, please provide me with a list of journalists whom you will address with your press releases. Yes, okay, but do you have them? Do you have it? Do you have a good, proper list of press releases? And it's not the list, that you do a press release, and then let's say you work for a municipality. You go to the municipality press officer and you give him a kind of press release, and he has this list of journalists' emails, and you send to everybody. Well, there is no such auditory audience, everybody. There is a lady, by the way, AstraZeneca, there is big story. Does it work for elderly people as a poison or as a good vaccine? So if you want to explain this story, do you really talk to people in kindergarten, or you talk to people of that particular age, to try to calm down, to explain to all the things? So yes, it's a general interest of everyone to be vaccinated as soon as possible and blah, blah, blah. But the first target to be informed is, so you have to form, even from the list of all journalists, you have to understand what kind of journalists are interested in your story. Is it the project of environment? Is it the hard investment? Is it from the point of view of economy, from public health or something? So journalists less and less are kind of qualified in these specific areas, but still, especially in the written press, you will find a journalist whom you can trust yourself as a reader. So you should go to this journalist. And it doesn't mean that you should kind of always think that all journalists will read these. Yes, they delete it mostly, but those who knows the subject, those who are interested in this subject you are covering you work kind of in a more or less same area, these are your actually negotiating partners. And these you should address sometimes by calling back. Do you remember that you were asking for my help 2 years ago? I still have my, in a memory of my GSM, I still have your phone. Can we talk 5 minutes? Oh, yeah, I remember you helped me that time. So do you have a list of that kind of kind of trustful journalists, of real journalists, of not the influencers or someone? And please never mix these two things. We journalists, we are angry when you put in the same lists influencers, or in a case of Latvia, if you call being journalist also the guy who receives the money from the local municipality and kind of producing a kind of newspaper. Please don't call it newspaper, the one that you distribute. In the case of Latvia, distribute it for free of charge in the post boxes of every post box in your, for example, municipality. It's a very, very sensitive question, and this is about the confidence and so on. So feedback, always keep feedback as a good friendship. Never try to poison in a sense that yes, they never covered the full story of what is your project about. They were kind of journalists by publishing you as a nice example of something, will never do a kind of press release that will cover whole aspects of including these EU logos and something. This information normal journalists will never cover. But can I tell you one thing? If you are copy pasting a good publication where you can prove that there was a feedback, there was a general interest of a journalist, of your particular example, your particular project, then you can copy paste it, publish in your website. Will it be a project's website, a municipality website, or whatever you govern yourself, and then add to this an information that is required by European Union. And this is okay. Yeah? You never break the rule of journalism. You are actually proud to be attracting a general interest, to be, important to journalists and to come in his eyes. And so don't think that everything always goes as a copy paste in the life, that we send you this press release and we just copy paste it. We very much hate that you think that we are kind of copy pasters. Yes, we are working too much. Yes, we are doing bad things as well. Yes, we are publishing facts without checking and things like that. But sometimes it is, and this is why I'd like to talk about this confidence, and maybe I should also switch to the next slide. This is, of course, a real life. And even during this session, not everyone are listening properly to what we are discussing here, because you have this project and there is children around you, you know, running for your assistance in the school, and there are many things, and we hardly listen, as in this picture. And there are so many screens around us, and so many you know, kind of real journalism, and then there is a Facebook that is most influential, and then there is likes and shares and the Twitter, and there are unfortunately some people who think that Twitter is very influential. Twitter is just a way of how journalists and politicians are communicating. Normal people are not living in a Twitter, and that's life. So if you want to attract interest of journalists, you probably have to be in Twitter if you want to, you know, post yourself and reach as much audience as you like. You probably need to be in a Facebook with the nice pictures, by the way. And if you want to be, let's say, trustful and someone whom people like, you have to be published. So it means who is advocating you, who is talking about you. It shouldn't be you, huh? Especially in the Baltic countries. I think our culture is that we are not proud of our own kind of experiences. We better listen when someone else is talking about us. And so this is, I think, one reason why you should think how to attract journalists. Okay, that's real life. And this is a slide from Jānis' presentation. And can I say, or can I ask, actually, I don't know, Zane Grandane, can I ask you, what do you think from the point of view of journalism is missing in these pictures that are fully covering EU requirements of here is a signposting of Interreg, of European flag in the right size, and everything is kind of nice. But what exactly is missing in these pictures that most probably journalists wants to write about?
Well,
we don't want to write about these logos.
Yeah. Well, first of all, hello once. It's nice to see you.
Hi.
And
Hi,
I think that if you look at this specialized car, information that is missing here is what purpose does this car serve for? Like, where is it used? So it's a specialized car. We see that it was financed from a project, but we can't tell where and how is it used. So what purpose does it serve, and what good
so actually,
is it bringing to society?
So let's say I want to talk to these school boys and girls who are sitting in this beautiful bus and profiting out of this story. I don't want to speak with a good colleague who did realize this project, and I very much trust that he's a professional. He knows accounts, he knows publications, he knows everything. But I, as a journalist, I hate even, can I tell you, I hate even to speak about this project with the city mayor of this particular city, and I don't know which city it is. This looks like, oh, it's a Lithuanian plate number, so it's from Lithuania. I'm not obliged to speak with Lithuanian mayor, so good for me. But bad for a project is that I don't see children. I see that this car is in garage, it's clean, it looks like it's even not used at all. Would you like to communicate with this kind of, you want to communicate that European Union bought a new car and put it in a good garage. Well, garage is a very good one. I mean, my garage is not so fancy, but I'd like to talk about and with these children, school children, who are driving that car, the ones who are, you know, using it, the real profiter, and not the city mayor who actually wanted his face on this car instead of a European flag, right? I want to talk with a schoolboy or girl who is playing this guitar. Hopefully, it's in Šiauliai, because I know that the Šiauliai music school is good at this by buying good music instruments with the European money. I remember the very nice story I filmed once in Šiauliai about this in the Lithuanian program. We even had a seminar 10 years ago there. You know, this is part of visual communication. This is how you attract. If you would put a smiley music student, whatever age, I would publish this picture and tell a story. Up until now, this is just a nice equipment. Maybe when we just entered the European Union, whatever nice or fresh reparation of these school premises or equipping the premises was a big thing. Now I think each another new project comes as something additional, and the real life is just, you know, put the person in this picture. Let's call it find the soil of your story, and it will very much attract me. Now I propose how to think about your project when you try to file in your mind, even before you write down your press release. And can I also make a note to my Lithuanian friends that this principle of Hey Girt, I choose with a reason, because I know what girtas means in Lithuanian language. I'm really bored, because one of the reasons why I like to live in the European Union is when I crossed the border with Lithuania each and other day. And once again, it was like every week I was crossing border, heading to Vilnius and doing my television stories as a Baltic correspondent. And every day this funny, you know, border guard on the Lithuanian border told, do you know what the girtas means? Because I had a good cameraman who was Girts from Latvia, and he's still a good cameraman, and thanks God no one is checking me on the border with European Union heading to Lithuania. Girtas for Latvians who don't know, girtas are piedzēries, like drunken guy. So it's always like oh, what a joke. But if you address it from the point of view, hey girtas, or the even more funniest for Latvians, why to put normal Latvian name Raimonds, calling him Raimondas? So it sounds like a women instead of Raimonds. But anyway, we have to have jokes in between. So let's address it as a hey mom principle, or at least 5 W's principle. So when you want to communicate with someone, and especially with journalists, sometimes to have a soil and to explain how important it is and what exactly is the big profit of this and something, we actually forget a very simple principle, which is who, what, when, where, why, and the most important sometimes is how. And we are very much attracting everyone who's how, and you know, this is so important, blah, blah, blah. Just yesterday, there was a guy, he's a very prominent architect of Latvia, and he contacts me once in a half a year. He's my good friend. He's saying me, oh, listen, you know, today, can you remind me in Vilnius who is actually occupying the premises of the previous communistic party headquarters? The funny house with these glass windows in a central square of Vilnius. Who is inside? Dear Lithuanians, who knows who is living in a previous house of communistic party of Latvia, Lithuania? No one knows, huh? For us, it's a big thing. It's one of the most modern architecture examples of even USSR, because it is copy pasted from Brussels and from United States and from Paris, and so it was built as a super piece of modern architecture. But national part of our government, nationalistic part of our government, wants to get rid of it and demolish it and put National Concert Hall instead of it. So this architect is against, and he's organizing the big event, and then he's doing this and that, and today there will be a event, and we will do a coffin of modern architecture, and he wants to influence, and he's talking to me in this Facebook and sending me messages, what is the big purposes, and my only question is, okay, but when, where, why, what, and something. So sometimes when you do file your big thing, you have to start with some practicalities. So to put this in a calendar of journalists, of wider society, and of course think about, should you do your public event of your project when you start it, when the first signposting should be put in, or should you do it when visual material, when something real will happen, and you will really promote it when you will see the new building you're building during this project? And sometimes I think this is very important before you even plan your project. So do you have this kind of communication plan? Do you planned it before you filed your project to be approved by a LATLIT agency? I think these things are, and those who attended this seminar, we've been talking about this bad experience with one actually million big project I was showing. That the last minute or even last night communication, or trying to sell to press these communication papers or needs to be visualized somewhere before you actually apply for final report of your project, is a very bad behavior, and journalists feel it, and you don't feel like people really care project if you do this. So please care about your projects and try to find the soil and try to communicate. And of course, journalists are terrible. You try to reach me once and I'm not available. The third time you are already hating me because I'm really not answering these questions. But once you approach me on the street and you start to talk to me, well, yes, I will listen to it. So sometimes we are terrible in a communication, even though we request the best communication examples from you. Now, can I address also your common mistakes, which I saw already? And most probably you will also have your feelings of our kind of common behavior, and we can a little bit even maybe discuss at this point how to really try to attract journalists. Now, the first thing is sometimes and it is really so that sometimes when you send me an email and I'm kind of remembering, oh my God, there was an interesting project. There was an email in my inbox, 5 years ago. And I'm trying to file 5 years old information in my email. One of the things is that I can find this email, and of course there is something wrong with a person. I don't know, she most probably is now in maternity leave and not answering this email or something. Well, there is a telephone number. The very easy thing. Where is your as much as possible information so I can reach you now? And yes, sometimes I want to inform society about your beautiful example of your beautiful project 5 years later, because I remember, there was an interesting story. I hadn't had a chance to publish it that time, but most probably this example still exists. This building is built and we can go in and show, how European Union betterized our life. So sometimes I even have this feeling, okay, here is interesting press release sent today. Here is the phone number, and guess what? I tell you, if that wouldn't be, let's say, pandemic situation, I can reassure that tomorrow there will be exactly the same situation as every Eastern holiday. You normally send me an email, you know, let's say Thursday before Eastern, and then you switch off your telephone. I'm sitting in my editorial desk and writing this story on behalf of your press release, and then I have 7 more questions. But you are already in your holiday. Oh, I'm sorry, you know, I can't talk. Maybe you can talk to my press officer in a municipality. And then I talk to this press officer in municipality. Sorry, what project you're referring to? I don't know. You know, this previous lady, she's governing like 10 different projects. I even don't know what you're talking about. Is it already realized or something like this? So, if you are really a manager of your project, don't share this information to your, and I'm sorry to say, but sometimes they are really terrible, these press officers in your municipalities, because they don't know anything particularly to reply to my questions. I'd like to talk to you, who knows it at best, and remember, I don't want to talk to your city mayor or someone. So please also prepare a list of beneficiaries of these children in the bus, in a school bus, or whoever are real beneficiaries, the real people. Huh? And when I mean who can answer, then it's really the person who knows it at best, and not always it is a person who will appear as a, let's say, face of that program. Yes, you are a manager of that program, but not always you are yeah, and when I mean you create this disaster, then sometimes one of the largest problems is that you think that the file that you filed, the press release, is enough, is enough an information. And one of the reasons why I'm calling to you is to find out the kind of human face of it. So you should, you know, try to find the human face of it. So my big question is always, beside the mayor of the city and you yourself, who is of course proud of job what you did, and I'm congratulating you, and I know that you are one of the most valuable persons in your organization, because you're realizing a project that is usually doing something good, something big, on behalf of the budget that is not in a scale of your own organization, and thanks God of European money, you are doing it, and it is, in most cases, I sincerely believe that all European projects you're realizing, even though it looks like just a bench in a city center, in a square, or a new something which cannot tell you how satisfied he is, I sincerely believe that you are doing a great job. But sometimes we have to find the real beneficiary, be it a granny in Bauska or granny in Rokiškis. Again, we have to kind of go down to this real beneficiary. Now, one of the reasons why you will listen, and I, of course, as well, will listen to Olga Kazaka today, is the reason why it is so important, and why some people are clicking on EU-based information in a Facebook and some people do not. And one of the reasons is you are missing of sexy photos or visuals or interesting facts of statistics, interesting facts from behavior of a kind of same project, but realized it in Estonia or Latvia or Lithuania. And you can quote whatever experience. It could be from Thailand, and you want Thai experience, you know, realized by this project in your country. So please, find yourself, equip yourself with the interesting examples, with the interesting backgrounds, with the interesting contexts that you can use when we will talk. Well, when journalist is talking to you, when you are talking to journalists, you have to feed me with these funny facts, because I'm actually coming for these 15 minutes or maybe 1 hour and a half to talk to you. You should provide me with the most sexiest content. And one of the reasons why people are not clicking to this very important context that you've been filing as a text in the Facebook is you don't have sexy photos. And when I mean sexy, it shouldn't be, you know, naked. You understand my meaning of a sexy here. You should prepare it. You should even pay. Please don't use money to bribe journalists or press officers or something, but please pay for a best photographers. The one of the profession which I thought 10 years ago, I thought this profession will die. No, it will not, especially because of you have your iPhones and you are trying to do these pictures. These are terrible pictures. We are not going to publish them normally because you're not a professional photographer. They are not sexy. We are not clicking there. Please use a professional photographers. And use professional audio devices. If you do your these audio, how you call them, what you put in Spotify, you put podcasts or something, but it should be nice, you know, it should be colorful, it should be nice. And this is professionalism, and you definitely feel it when you see a professionally made picture. Yes, you can become a professional, but if you are not yet, please use professionals service, and you can definitely allow yourself, you have a budget for this. Why are you neglecting a neighboring experience? This is actually Yanis was asking, why you are not telling me a story. And I tell you, since I'm not a journalist that is covering Baltic countries anymore, by being actually Latvian speaking only, I don't speak Lithuanian or Estonian. I was always speaking Russian or English to my good friends, but we are not covering them at all. And you don't have any journalist, the Lithuanian journalist based in Latvia anymore. There was Aigis, I think he was working for Radio Latvia, but unfortunately he died recently. So you don't know about my country in Lithuania, and I don't know what is your experience. Why don't you feed me with this feeling of, you know, knowing your neighbor? Please tell it a little bit wider. Tell your experience. We learn it. Next time we cooperate for a next project of Lithuanian Latvian program, we'd like to use that experience. We'd like to inspire each another. Please don't think that all people are just locally thinking and then don't care what happens like next door. Please try to compare, and try to compare even a success. I know Latvians have this illness of comparing success only with Estonia. So in this sense, Lithuanian Latvian program is bad in the sense that we cannot compare with Estonia. We should compare with Lithuania, and this is so common, and sometimes the experience is more or less the same. And yeah, well, it's true. But please be proud of realizing an international project. This gives you extra information. It gives you proudness. I mean, I really admire some things that are realized in Lithuania. Can I tell you one bad experience of me being journalist in Lithuania, just for you to know that, yes, we sometimes travel all over your country and go to Druskininkai. It was I think it was the second or third year of our, or maybe fifth year of experience of being in the European Union, and there was a head doctor, chief doctor of Druskininkai Hospital, calling to me and asking, "Hey, listen, when are you coming? Are you coming like in 5 minutes or 50 minutes? Just tell me, really, because I know you are driving long distance from Latvia and you will be probably late, isn't it? Because we are used that people who come from Latvia to Druskininkai don't know how far away it is. So tell me at what time you will be there." And I'm telling, like, we are 5 minutes from your house as we agreed. So what's the reason? Okay, then I will put my European flag at the facade of my house. And I was like, if you really hate this European flag, then don't use it. I mean, it's not for me, it's for you. Well, you know, we want to put the European flag on a facade of a European, you know, that people will know that we realize the European project, because we right now in Lithuania, we have this terrible situation that some corrupt ministers use this European investment money for their own cousins, and there was a bad experience. And, you know, people think that whoever realize European projects are actually more or less corrupt people. And, you know, I as a proud doctor, I don't want to be misunderstood by my local people. And I was like, how can it be? You know, they were offering me shakotis, and it was like a first time in my life I didn't like the shakotis they offered me, because it was so poisoned, this situation, that they told me, you're not proud of what you are doing? Oh, my dear doctor. And do you know what he did? And now I'm telling to Latvians, they were doing a first ever telemedicine in European Union. They were asking to stay to this older gentleman who was who could have a heart attack, instead of coming to meet a professor in Vilnius and traveling with a local bus for 4 hours from Druskininkai to Vilnius hospital and waiting to see his doctor. They actually managed with the European money to do a telemedicine that the heart of that gentleman could, you know, be shown by a special device to the professor who is still in Vilnius. They did it in 2000, let's say 6 or 7 or something. Now everyone can do it in Latvia or in Portugal, but it was the first time ever that they did it in Lithuania. I mean, it was such a genius project from the point of view of communication, IT usage, really the attitude to the local people. And they were telling me, I'm not proud of what I did. So please take your proudness when you try to communicate with me, and I will feel your proudness of what you did. And I very much know that you will do it. Now, back to how to communicate with me. And I very much hope that you will always remember that this is the principle of how we should write. And from now, from this very moment, could you please never, ever use a wording press release? Because you heard it yourself, that press release is something to be deleted from the journalists' emails. Press release is something to be not read. And I tell you the reason. One of the reasons is we do not have a time for press releases. Yes, you don't need to become a journalist, but you could be a good communicator and sometimes win this situation by not paying to journalists, by not poisoning the atmosphere in between you as a professional and between me as a professional, but by offering me a real news story, an article. And I mean, I became a journalist when I even didn't complete my secondary school yet. I was already a reporter for NTV5 at that point. Now, everyone, you know, if the elephant can drive a bicycle in a circus, then every one of you can become a journalist. I mean, it's easy. It's not a rocket science. Everyone can train him or herself by actually respecting this triangle. And heading means the most important, or intro or lead. And you should always remember that that triangle came from terrible weather conditions in the United States 150 years ago. There was a teletype. And when a correspondent was calling over these terrible weather conditions back to New York's office and trying over the telephone or telegraph line report the news, there was always this sandstorm in between, and the line broke up. So hopefully our line is not breaking up today, but the line broke up, and this taught the journalists to start with the most important thing. So in a case line will break up and will never come back, you will be at least reporting the most important facts. So if you start with the most, and in your case, it's sometimes not only most important fact, but also most interesting, most attracting. Yeah, please keep in mind your task is to inform, to attract, but also to educate. The 3 tasks, at least of my profession, and since from this second you become your like instead of journalists, and the miracle will happen. Because copy pasting is actually bad thing, bad behavior. If you go to university and copy paste something, then you will be, dismissed from diploma. But if you do a copy pasting in journalism, that's everyday life. And if I receive a good prepared, let's call it a news story or an article, and especially if you give this beautiful, sexy image to me, oh, guess what? The miracle will happen. Yes, of course, you will never have these logos next to it, unfortunately. But I told you, you will copy paste your own story from that newspaper into your own website, and you will have this great opportunity to put all these necessary European requirements. But if you will make this type of, let's say, there will be always very necessary quote of headmaster of your organization, whoever, the minister, the city mayor, the someone, right? So you will be able to put the quote, the real quote of someone, the local politician who is happy, to realize this project. He did nothing. We know it, that you did for a good of this project. You did all the things, all the requirements, but of course you have to give a stage to the city mayor. Then you have to think about sources from the point of view of different sources. Journalists are always having this kind of, well, who is happy and who is unhappy. So yes, from the point of view of project, you want to realize only a kind of good propaganda. No, sometimes you have to give us also a kind of the ones who are not happy with that project or something. So this is the big thing where press release is always kind of lacking in the eyes of journalists, that we hate press releases, especially because of you don't quote more than your mayors. I want to this schoolboy from the school bus be quoted how happy he is to drive this new orange bus or something like this. And contact info should be always included, because if still journalist wants to use your kind of beginning of article and put it more, then of course I'd like to contact you and call you back. One more reminder of this, and still Jānis was using the press release in his speech, of course, but I think that here you are requested to send me an information to the press that you started this project, and at the end you have to show me. And again, can I encourage you, please, to remember that when the end of the project, then something is to be shown, and please show it with photos. But when we talk about this to international media and to Lithuanian and Latvian media and a larger angle, I think in many projects you are actually very creative by inventing a new vehicle in a way that sometimes an international news agencies have their own local correspondents, right? And they always look for a kind of interesting and funny, attractive stories. And I really know that there are like Reuters or Deutsche Presseagentur or many international journalists or local journalists who work for these medias are also reading these press releases and interesting stories. And don't be afraid to become an interesting project for a European scale. You know that there are different regional policy events and something, and sometimes your municipality, for example, applies to be awarded as a Regio Star or whoever calls all these events in Brussels. And I think this, for sure, if you go for this, This for sure will always be a kind of new star system for your own politicians. Of course, this will be a star like an orden, like a medal of your own, yeah, to you. But then also this will now be a big. Oh, okay. Here is one more. Sorry, because before we go. I think this is my example of how to humanize or how to do this picture really attractive and nice. And can you see where is a professional picture? Where is this kind of feeling in the picture? Can I tell you that these are made with your iPhone? This is visualization from the architect of the building that is developed, and this is hopefully a very nice building. Nevertheless, in Elias Moija, in Elias Manor, there is already a very nice pavilion. You guys, Lithuanians from Šiauliai, should come and see it. You always drive to Jelgava, but Elia in between, at the very border, is actually a nice place to visit. The Elia Palace is actually part of Rundale Palace that you probably know. And this, of course, is the most sexy picture in a sense of this is something I will click for if you put it in Facebook. Where to put logos here? Of course, inside the text. Of course, at the end of the text of the publication that you will make, you can govern your own publication. And again, if you will write a publication that I propose to you with this kind of approach, then for sure you can publish it yourself in a web medias, all kind of. You can actually very much hope, and I think you will succeed, that it will be kind of copy pasted by a local press at least. My big question is, where is a soil, or what is the soil of your project? And when I went to this very wording soul in website, in a Google, then that was the first picture. I don't know why she is actually going there. Usually it's Jesus Christ is going there, but hopefully it's everyone. We and you and me and everyone will go this way one day. But still, if the soil is leaving, then no one is believing to your project. So if you can define what is this, it will be very easy to talk to me. It will be very easy to talk to everyone. Now we have to stop here, right? It's 11:30 already. So how long should be the pause now, Yanni? 5 minutes?
I think we will take 10 minutes probably. Okay. 5 is not sufficient for everyone. So let's resume at 20 minutes to 12.
Yeah, 20 minutes to 12, we resume, and then you will have a kind of 2 more slides to think about. If you have already questions, they should be answered as well, of course. And we will have a small kind of session of trying yourself to become a super good journalist. We kind of offer a job to best journalists, and I hope very much that you want this offer. It's kind of virtual, not real, but in your professional experience, it will be very, very useful. You will see it. Good. So meet you in what, 12 minutes, huh?
20 minutes to 12.
Yeah.
Ansi, es domāju, I think we can continue our session. We have received a few comments. Maybe Ansi, you can comment.
Now, Can I hope that everyone can read these comments, so I don't need to read them out loud, but I can already react and thank you actually, Viola, because it seems like you're really touched of what I'm saying, and you have your bad experience, which is actually good, because many of us will do have it. But can I remind you that there is no auditory all people, and there is no such a meaning of all journalists. And I think this is one of the things that you will find out. If you will find a 5, let's say normal, the 5 that are interested in the area you are covering, you will actually speak to someone who is more professional, in a sense that he knows your job, he knows your reality. I'm just seeing Vineta's like profession. I understand where is she working, more or less, and I think in a case of Vineta, you will be probably never meet, let's say, Andres Volmars, the guy who is covering cultural affairs in your lifetime, because he's still journalist, but he will never be interested in police or justice affairs. So this is why I'm just reminding you that sometimes when we have someone from the news agency, and this is where we usually try to put all the press releases, and this reminds a little bit of garbage, when you put it to direction of the press release, then you usually have this feeling that you talk to someone who don't listen to you. So journalist ANSYS is now teaching to you to be attractive, to be interesting, to listen to journalists' needs, but this behavior of journalists is, we are not listening to you, right? But then can I also still remind you that if you have this feeling like journalism is a gate and the journalists are gatekeepers of, let's say, attracting more auditory, you are right, until, let's say, last 5 years. Something changed, and sometimes we want to open this gate, and there are these funny, unprofessional journalists, do not have time, do not have professional skills, do not have a kind of interest in this particular affairs. You are trying to talk to him or her, but can you please see that around these gates, you can still go with your own prepared materials, with your own way of communication. It's not, unfortunately, to my profession, it's not anymore that journalists are the only gatekeepers and the only personalities who can attract people. I think there are more and more skillful communicators who can do the job, and it could be you yourself. And can I also remind that if you still had this situation, like Viola was just referring to journalist who was coming back and saying, you killed my interest by starting with the boring stuff. Yanis just told me, and I had even those the same feeling, no one ever asks you to start with the boring stuff. That is why I'd like you to remind this very triangle that the heading or intro or the source or so the beginning of your story of structure of your, and again, please don't use even the thinking of a press release that you are filing. You are filing a nice story with beautiful pictures. It is a story that you would read yourself in and again, think, would you like it to be published in a women's magazine? Would you like it to be published in Economical Affairs weekly newspaper? Or is it a shorter version for your website? So this is also the context. And sometimes we think that we will send one press release to everyone. I remind you again, there is no audience as auditory as everyone. You should portion the information, try to attract with different pictures, with different angles of the story, with a different, this funny school bus over Lithuania is in the same color as our school bus, right? In an orange color. So all Latvians will understand what orange school bus means. And we have our own experience with actually a different program with a Swiss government's payment like 15 years ago. And I think you can communicate this project, even if you want to, if you need to let's say a baby magazine, or how you call it, the magazine for young parents, you know, who will, you know, think how trustful, how safe it is. You know, you can, from the point of view of young mother, you can think about, oh my God, great! My grandmother was you know, walking these 8 kilometers to the school. Now the buses are driving my beautiful school children. Buses like this, and I know, by the way, how I'm sorry, unreformed is the reality of the small village schools in Lithuania, and this is still a big thing to be done for your country. So put it in a context that this bus is a beginning of modernizations of your schools, because you better drive well-equipped buses and go to good schools. Don't you think that this is a social need? Can you explain it from the point of view of, and I think now it is time to show a little bit of, how should I do it? Aha. Press it. Okay. My computer is getting a little bit old, and this is my suggestion here. And now we kind of try to think about now the practicality of what we will learn. You should zoom in or zoom out to find an attractive angle of a best benefiter of the outcome of your project. So will it really help to the global warming of a universe, or maybe of just Lithuania, or maybe of just one municipality, or maybe it will be just, you know, next to just one house? Or will it actually supply 5 children with new violins? And it is exactly for these 5 beautiful children, and hopefully one of these children will be a super violinist and be the most famous violinist in the world, from, you know, started from Šiauliai. So how you will focus this? Should it always be focused on a national level? Don't you think that one of the reasons why you tried to access this gate was, I'm sorry, there is a lady that is listening to the music next to me. Thank you very much. It was beautiful music, of course, and a beautiful lady. Now, I wanted to say that sometimes one of our problems is that we think that we should definitely approach journalists in the national media, but yes, they are not interested in this kind of small story. So why don't you approach a journalist in a local media of a local scale and become a superstar of, let's say, Kurzeme region, of beautiful example from Liepāja, and guess what? When you will be published in Liepāja or Rokiški or where Klaipēda, local press, most probably the national journalists will find it out. So don't try to attack that very gate that seems closed to you. You can always think on a different, you know, pathways how to. Now, again, can your audience be defined more or better? Yes, it is a European taxpayers' money, but not all taxpayers wants to know all projects where the money is put it. You know, yesterday I was talking to one car seller in Germany, and you know that Germany is paying to all these projects at most. That's more or less 2/3 of the money you are spending in Lithuania or Latvia investing is actually German taxpayer money. And that gentleman from the very big, let's say, small town of Germany asked me 2 questions today, like yesterday. He asked, "Are you in the EU? Do you use euros? Really?" And I was like, you know, it is like 16 years we are living in European Union, and there are people like, so they don't care. They don't care what you do. But the people next to you, next to your doors, really care. So don't try to attract everyone. Then you will actually have even more sincere outcomes and reflections of the people. They will really admire your job, what you did. You will have your let's say even you yourself will have a better feeling if you will be able to explain it to your mommy, this who, why, what, how, these questions. Is if you can simply explain it to your mom or to Raimondas or Girtas, then you for sure can actually find a soil and find this angle and find these normal, let's say normalize the wording. Don't use this terrible European language. Don't use these because I suspect, as a journalist, I suspect that some of you who use these terrible European slogans actually hate your job. That you copy paste something from the terrible documents you've been filing as an application to realize this project. And yes, you are using, and when I am applying to the project, I'm also using a kind of EU English. So here you have to come back to Latvian or Lithuanian language, sincere language, and explain it to your mom. Does your mom ask you what you do in your job? Can you reply it sincerely? What is this project about? So if you can do it, keep this simpleness in the language and file your article, and you will be a superstar of journalism. Huh? We will offer you a job in Riga TV 24, most probably, if you really want. Okay, find the best timing to attract general public or particular group. Now again, if you're what I did. What I wanted to say is sometimes the best timing definitely is not the end of the working week, right? You don't know, you don't want to listen to whatever political affairs. I mean, when there is no pandemic reality, then no one organizes public event with a minister on Tuesdays, because Tuesdays is the minister is in a cabinet meeting of the Latvian government. Maybe Monday morning is not the best when I'm talking about the public events, but sometimes the outcome of your project is, let's call it a decoration of your local community. And you put it very nice decorations, and now even before you file your project, why don't you think, when will it be? Just in the springtime? In a case of Latvia, the best timing for European projects to be inaugurated or something like this would be, of course, beginning of the May, because it's not only a European day but also 4th of May, establishing of Independence Day, which you already did. Congratulations, my dear Lithuanian friends. You did it always much better and faster than we did. We are even lagging behind Estonians, which is sad, but let's say history in 200 years will forgive it to us. Now, find the best timing. That's the big and particular group. Find the best face who will advocate your project. You know, sometimes, yes, it could be a sexy superstar. It could be an influencer, even though I'm kind of, as a journalist, not very much hoping that you will go this direction, but sometimes I think you have your reasons to do it. But I don't think that the communication face is you as a project realizer, as a project manager, or your city mayor. I think you should find, like in a case of this school bus, you definitely understand that I think that the school pupils are the faces of that project, and you should, you know, put them in of course, with all the respect of GDPR regulation in the European Union. How to promote your project without the press and public support? So if Muhammad is not approaching the Rock is approaching Muhammad. That's the old saying in, I think, every language. Now, I think that I really think that sometimes by having a stand in, there will be no such events this summer, the Pilsētas svētki. How should I put it in English? Municipality festival, something like towns festival, like, you know, this. Once I was in Šiauliai, that was a wow, what a nice Pilsētas svētki you had. So my suggestion is that sometimes if you speak to 200 people in private and you think that there is a reason to attract and inform them, I think you will be approaching even more the ones who are really going deep into your reality, into your project. Or let's say you realize a project for people with disabilities, definitely go and talk first of all to them and to the press that covers their affairs, that people with disabilities reads this, and it will be much better than to, you know, try to cover everyone. And sometimes not the publication itself in the press is not the only way how to attract the general public. It could be that you are standing next to your roll-up and informing people in this towns festival, or in even in the supermarket when it's allowed. Of course, not now during the pandemics. Will someone kill you if you do something more than a planned project? How do you think, from the point of view of communication? Okay, the European Union will say that unfortunately you didn't make a good design or proper design of a European flag, and we will not cover this and that. But is it worse to try to do more than just needed press release in the beginning or the end? Don't you think that your project is much more important than just a report, an accurate behavior of European Union minimal standards? The maximum you can go and find the soil in the project, and then I start to believe that you really believe in your project yourself. And again, visualization of your project sometimes is the reason why we journalists do not publish you. Because I cannot show it. How can I show it? Can I remind you this funny picture that this is the soil of your project? This was a soul. This was a Google reply to my question. What is how to show a soul? Well, no one can do it. Huh? No one saw it. So think about this. That sometimes your project is to be described in many words, but no one can see it, and sometimes they are these soft projects that so you should think about visualization of your project yourself. Now we will see a very interesting example which I found coincidentally a week ago. We found this in English version. Nevertheless, the Latvian version is actually the target. So they, of course, made it in English as well, hoping that some foreign students will come to this school. I love it as an example because my mother actually is also a teacher of reparation and restoration. But I like it from the point of view that this is one of the manor houses which are not so nicely refurbished, but they find out that the part of their curriculum of the school is actually the way how they re-establish the beauty of that manor house, which is now actually occupied by this very school. But the most important thing is they used a European money of LAT-LIT program to actually, first of all, address their own needs of recruiting school children, but actually to promote it in a lovely way. And I think if you do this language of communication that we will see now, I think you will escape this feeling that whoever communicates European Union is doing it because you receive it just a salary from it. That European Union somehow wants whatever European Union wants, they pay for it. It's not true. I'm a true European in a sense. I don't if someone would invite me to lecture something about the European Union in a school and would say, I'm sorry, I don't have, many hundreds of euros to pay for it, I would definitely go and explain how I feel about this. I mean, I believe that many young people in my country feel more or less the same, and I'm young enough to believe in this. I don't think that we should always think that the European Union is only a kind of wallet. So this is why I like this way how they try to actually sell their own interest to get more and more interested students to come to their school, which is not very attractive school in a sense that it is not the most popular school in Latvia, or let's say even no one in Lithuania probably knows where is Zaļinieki. Zaļinieki is actually a very nice place. One day you should visit it. So let's see the good example of communication, and we can discuss even more about this.
Grandad, you always said that lads stick to their word, and I stick to mine. When I ruined your chair, I fixed it right away. When I borrowed your fishing kit, I returned it without a scratch. When I promised to have good grades, I made it happen. But you must be wondering, where is the bottled ship I was never allowed to touch? It dropped an anchor on the floor. But don't worry, I will fix this. Lads stick to their word. I replaced the ship with my letter and set off to keep my word. I wanted to learn the restoration trade. I didn't have to look far. Restoration is taught at Zaļinieki. If Grandad was still on board, I could learn the trades of chef, client service specialist, carpenter, agricultural technician, and bricklayer here. Had I known that restoration studies can be started after year 9, I would have broken that ship sooner. My path led to the Green Manor, the Zaļinieki Secondary School of Commerce and Crafts. Built in the 18th century, it was a hunting lodge for the Duke who lived in the Rundale and Jelgava palaces. Not bad, huh? I was welcomed by the head. She listened to me, and then she sent me to the restorer stable. Stable? You may laugh until you see it. It's restored, obviously. At first I learned to restore windows and doors, then stone walls and fireplaces. I restored plaster figures and made new ones. Learned to upholster, had a go at painting, and touched the future. In Zaļinieki, it's the present. I stayed in the dorms. 1 star for a few euros a month. The best deal around. Good grades got me a stipend. A nice one. I made cool friends, local and foreign, because of the many available exchange programs. After the stable, I tested my skills in the manor. I restored real frescoes and old ceramic stoves, and brought back to life ancient parquet and doors. After graduation, there was only one thing on my mind: the ship in the bottle. Restorers are paid by centimeters squared, but this time I earned Grandad's honor and respect. Money will come later, as restorers are needed all over the world. With the ship fixed and Grandad's friendship regained, one story ends and another begins. Some people are good with words, some with numbers. I'm good with my hands. And you? Hands of gold are crafted in Zaļinieki. Don't sit on yours. Learn to restore. Saying this is tougher than restoring a ship, but I will try. This video has been prepared as part of the project Imitation of Working Environment-Based Training in Construction and Restoration Industry at Zemgale and Paņevežas, which is funded by the European Union under the Interreg 5A Latvia-Lithuania program 2014 to 2020.
I have a quick question to Santa. Do you think that if not Jānis was showing this video to us until the very end, including the very end of this kind of European propaganda, do you think you will never listen to it? You would stop at the very last picture, or at the point when this Interreg Latvia-Lithuania program logo started, or with the same language, with the same approach, with the same voice of a young boy, you actually somehow obliged or even were attracted to listen to actually the board information, we call it. Santa? Mīļā Santa, kur tu esi? Jāni, noņem lūdzu tos end slideshow now vai kaut ko tādu. Es kaut kā neredzu tos dalībniekus. Santa, are you Santa is not there, huh?
Santu es redzu.
My internet is unstable. Hey, nice to see you.
Ciao, Santa.
Yeah.
You heard my question, right? If you were obliged to listen to that young boy when he was kind of doing this terrible European propaganda with this terrible logo at the end of this? Put your mic on, yeah?
My internet is not stable. I didn't saw the very end.
Okay. But my point is somehow I'm replying also to you of what your comment was about, is that if we do approach this as a minimum necessity, but try to accommodate in a, let's say, normal attitude, like this young boy's attitude, by actually in the same manner, in the same style, informing us about what he wanted to inform us, but then also not to overestimate, of course, but also not to neglect it, this European Union information. And I'm sorry to say, I also hate it. But on the other hand, all of you want to be sure that the European money that is actually, in the case of Latvia, every six euro of your government expenditure, it's such a huge money. Now it's less than every six. Now it's like every seventh, I think. It's such a huge expenditure that you want to be spent properly. I mean, unfortunately, yes, that's part of formality, and these formalities, yes, I hate. I'm the one who is hating formalism. But I think even this formalism, and can I still remind you of what I said before? The article you've been published, the journalist prepared an article. No one can sustain you from republish it in your own website and add all these necessary European visualizations, which were actually removed from that very list. You understand what I mean? Journalists will always remove these logos, but this is your job to put it again back, and your publication is actually very valuable thing, because this means that someone wrote about you. So the big thing is, yes, you have to go kind of longer distance. You don't need to pay for journalists to do kind of job properly from the point of view of European Union, but you have to kind of approach people with normal language, with the people's language, and then of course add these requirements. And well, by the way, there are no other investors, the big investors in these countries. These are investors. The European money is actually the main, and in many cases, the only investor in my country's economy. And can I remind you, what was your salary in 2004 when we just entered the European Union? And because of this money, actually, the salary is different. Do all of you remember what was the rate of your salary and how much you could allow yourself? I mean, I'm not overestimating. I'm not getting in love in the European Union. I'm very much criticizing it as well as a journalist. But I think we have to admit that without this, we wouldn't be on this nice place where we live, all of us. Huh? Now, 5 minutes craft. You now will be splitted in two persons. and you have your 5 minutes, and you can make a choice of one of you, your one project. The one is assistant, the one is a top project manager, who should now draft an article about the project. So just remember this: who, why, and so on. Just give us a beginning, the sexy beginning of your article, how you will attract our interest. Or another version is you design a public event. So what will happen in this public event if you really want to promote a public's interest? And a public interest means that press will also come. Or the third version is you go into the depths of Google and try to find a visualization that suits at most to the project that is probably not visualized. So don't use your own real visualizations. Try, you know, to kind of use your imagination of what you can find else to visually explain to us what your project is about. So visualization would in this case mean that by clicking to this, we definitely, before, we have this kind of sexy feeling, like, oh yes, I'd like to see what is behind this very sexy picture. Oh, it's a European project. Okay, I will read it maybe for 2 seconds. If it's interestingly enough written, then I will definitely go and learn it myself even longer. It's true that we are kind of hunting a clicks of few seconds. That's true, but that's life. We cannot change the world. We can only you know, govern it to our good. Good. Now, my dear friends, now you will split in 5 minutes. When you come back, we choose by, you know, ticking to one project who will report what you did already. Yeah. So. Go.
Okay, I will try now to split you in groups.
Myself, I hate this ticking. Who should now reply? So how was your let's say small event of planning your Modesta? Can I ask you, Modesta? Oh, hi back, everyone. Who sorry, I didn't notice that not everyone are back. Share us what was your great achievement? Probably not. I don't know. Whom should I ask? Who wants to reply? If someone is volunteering for this, or Liene Freimane. Somehow it reminds me my school teacher. Liene, will you share us what you've been doing and how easy it went to become journalist in 5 minutes? can I assure you, everyone can do it. Journalism is not rocket science. Of course, you will have Olga Kazaka, who is a doctor in communication. I mean, this is different stuff. You have to learn a lot to become a doctor in communication. But you know, to be the one who is telling a story of your own project, everyone can do it. Liena, don't you agree?
Yeah. Well, hello everyone.
Hi, Liena.
I have put together with Santa, and 5 minutes for ladies, you know, it's just beginning. So actually we didn't a lot. We just get acquainted with each other, and that's it.
Okay. Which is a good beginning. In all editorial rooms, you always have a morning coffee, and then you start to work. So that's okay. So, but have you noticed that there are some points which are very hard for you, which are like you can't get rid of this? Well, that's the part of the journalism I hate. That this is, I can't do it. You know, how to find the first word, which I would start with my presentation or file or article.
In this 5-minute conversation,
May I continue?
it was so interesting. We just were speaking all the time, and it was really interesting to speak, and there was no problem.
Okay.
And yeah, and Santa
So
also.
which means a very important thing. You can explain. At least you can explain. Okay, maybe you're an audio guy or a girl instead of writing things or showing things, but which just makes perfect background for radio interview. So Santa now goes for radio interview. Yeah, Santa, what is your outcome? Can you write the perfect story?
Yeah, in fact, it was very interesting because I met Linda, and in fact, I understood that Linda is continuing a project with my previous colleagues,
Okay.
and I very well I know this topic, and I can already say that to you as the journalist to interest this project about Linda, what is working, I would ask the question would be, do you know, Ansis, does mollusks had headaches? And after this project, maybe we will understand, does our pharmaceutical product what goes through from humans, meaning this aspirin, maybe it is curing mollusks in water bodies.
Oh my
or
God.
Perhaps next question would be, what
journalists are not so clever, my dear Santa.
Those mollusks or those species that are flowing in, swimming in water bodies, maybe they're sex, maybe they becomes because they feel this pharmaceutical hormones in changing their tail too, and maybe in some future we will have only female those mollusks or only female fish, some because those pharmaceutics which we are using in our
I understand what you are saying, but dear Santa, you were perfect to attract my interest. For sure, I'd like to know, does mollusks have had at the very beginning, and can you have, kind of implications to the sexual behavior and something as well? And I know your project a little bit, as you know, and I understand what you are referring to and how to, but it was a perfect example of a situation that you met a journalist for at least, let's say, a second. There was a kind of this elevator pitch, right? For 10 minutes stuck in an elevator, and now you use your opportunity. Like normally you would go for investor, for a billionaire who wants to invest. Now you go to journalist and try to attract and to inform and something. Of course, one of the largest problems is that the most journalists, like me, talking, let's say, international and EU affairs, I would be not so clever to understand where is this rocket science, or where is this novelty, where is this new thing, the news I'm constantly looking for. So sometimes you have to think, where is this news as well, not only this attractive part. But of course, once again, your task, as my task, the journalist task, educate, inform, and attract, in a sense of entertain sometimes as well. So it could be the door, entertainment door, news door, or attractiveness or visualizations. And congratulations, Lena, for continuing a very interesting task. This is very important for Lithuanians as well, because these mollusks will help to clean our common Baltic Sea, right? So thank you very much for doing such a great rocket science project in the deep sea of the Baltics. Good. Now, I hope you at least got a flavor of this profession, of your actually need to become a super professional in this sense. And yes, unfortunately, my profession is somehow losing, not only to influencers or to Facebook or you know, all these new ways of communication. You will talk now with prominent Olga Kazaka, but also I think it's a big thing to think your responsibility and your opportunity to influence this reality, and this is your job. That's part of your project you should do. It's not only the accounts balance sheet, it's also the big thing, how to explain it to normal people. And there are a lot of people who actually profit and benefit from what you do. So from the point of view of all taxpayers of European money, thank you for realizing your projects, and please, I hope you believe, at least from now on, that there are journalists who want to listen to you, and yes, you have your bad experience with 3 first journalists you met, but the 4th one is the best one, and he wants to listen, and he wants to write a super sincere and human story about this, and Olga will help to promote it in further in the social media, right, Olga? So hello, I shut up and give floor to you, Olga.
Hello, thank you, Anssi, so much. Actually, I haven't heard all the previous presentations, but the part that I've heard actually was quite exciting. So I'm really happy to grab this this possibility to go on. Hello, everyone. As I understand, I am at the end of this today educational day, so I hope that it will be kind of a sweet dish for you, my presentation. So at least I hope that you will perceive it like that. I will share my screen so you could follow my presentation. I hope that you see it. So Facebook, we'll speak about Facebook, why and how. And I can say that more it will be about how, because why, I'm not sure that this is actually the question that we need to ask today, but of course we will speak about it as well. So just to give you a very small background of my experience is that as Anssi mentioned, I'm a doctor in communication and also a lecturer of University of Latvia. And I can say that this is my big hobby, because my real work daily routine is work at a communication agency called A.W. Olsen & Partners that me and my business partner, we created 15 years ago. And this is actually this mixture of this academical and practical approaches is our big know-how, I would say, is that, you know, it's usually people put them versus practice versus academics or theoreticals. And we understand that if we put together the ideas of theoreticians and test them in our agency's praxis, we can get something bigger than just practitioners or just theoreticians. So this is the basics of my approach, and this is the basics that you will see in my presentation. So I will share with you both statistics and our findings during the practice. I'm also active in organization of professionals of PR, and this is where I also get some new ideas and test them and know what is happening in Baltics, because of course not everything that we read in I don't know, surveys or books will work in our region. And the last thing, but not the least, of course, is that I'm also author of the book in Latvian and Russian about PR. So once I just had to sit down and put on the paper everything that I know about PR, so to share it with people. So this idea will be from very different perspectives that I will speak, but mostly it of course will be theoretically based and practically tested and approved. So no, untested things. So what we see is that I will not show you many statistics about how we use Facebook in Baltics. I'm sure that you know that this is the biggest social network in our region. What we see is that people more and more time spend daily on social networks. Of course, pandemics made us to stay home. And now we see that actually time spent online is really huge, and this is just average result. But of course, in some cases, in some ages, it just is close to living there. What else is important in this connection is that we see that social media become not only the place for networking, for discussions with friends, but we see this is the very fresh survey of National Electronic Media Council of Latvia that 75% of Latvians use social media as source of information, as media. And I think that this is, I hope that you hear that and you understand what I want to put in this slide, that this becomes not only kind of channel of communication, but this also become kind of source people really use, and they, well, I guess they trust it if they use it as a source of information. So this is our, as communicators, possibility to grab this attention, to have this dialogue. Another thing that we should understand that our communication strategy on social media and Facebook changed during the times. And when we started to communicate on Facebook some years ago, actually the only strategy was just we need to have a profile there. And then we are really very progressive company. I remember 10, 15 years ago, we had a magazine Capital, and our clients said us, we need to buy advertising there to inform our clients that we have a profile on Twitter or Facebook. That was it. That was the strategy. We need to have a profile on Facebook. Then we started to understand that actually it's not enough. We have a profile, but nothing is happening there. We need followers, understood people, understood communicators. And then the strategy developed to that we need to attract many followers. And that was the period when I would say Apple production, Apple products became very topical products to offer. Follow and retweet or share, follow and share our posts and get some Apple production products. You know, it even didn't depend on what you are doing and what you are offering. I'm sure you remember that, and maybe some of you even took part in all these stories. Later, of course, developed also social media as platforms, as business. And this was a period when Facebook started to use in more intensive way its algorithms that control what we see and what we don't see. And then the topical moment became that, hey, we need to engage our audience. And that meant that if you engage, if people are commenting, if people are sharing your content, then you are more visible, and well, everything is good with your content. You get bigger reach. What we see now is that these algorithms are working in a way that just technically asking your followers, of course, for some prizes, for example, some bonuses to comment, to share your publications. Actually, it's not always at the present moment working as it used to work, just because algorithms actually are making you to buy the attention of the audience. It doesn't matter if they are followers or they are not followers of your page. What they are doing, they are making you to buy the attention of the users of Facebook. And actually, that is what we see at the present moment. Just to maybe to show you the statistics, that is a really good illustration of what I'm saying, is a very fresh of January survey, where we see the engagement, average engagement, engagement rate. Here you can see of the pages according to the amount of fans. And you see that it's less than 1%. And here you can see the engagement according to the type of the post. And you can see that the worst results show only just the link, if you just share the link. And the best is the status and the photo and video. So, but you see that it's still very this engagement without payment, without your advertising budget. It's actually doesn't work so well anymore. So just to understand that if you are investing in this channel, you need to invest not only your time, but also to think about the budgets. But also the budget should be spent clever. So I will tell you a bit also about the content and the technical side of this question as well. So if we speak about today, then the content of Facebook that you should provide to your followers or to audience of the Facebook, it's not a scope of separate messages, but you should think about it as your story. And that is why I'm really excited that you've heard actually very good, previously, very good advices and very good examples of how to build your story. But you really should think about your story that should be authentic, that should show people behind the organization, that very demanded is your daily routine. How is it happening? How your projects are developing? What people are involved in this? You show kind of your series. People like to watch series. People like to watch, something in development. That should be visible in your posts. Another thing is that people like gamification and interaction elements. For example, you could post some question in one post and answer and ask to answer it, but post correct answer later. Or for example, you could hide some elements, some different elements in your Facebook stories and ask your audience to put them together and have the answer that you are asking them. So all these elements, they are really requested at the present moment, and really we see that audience in very different ages, they are ready to play games a bit. Then just very practical, based on the surveys advices, the content get more shares if it gives. So it's classical bonuses, discounts, something that you can get from it. If it recommends some tips, recommendations that can be valuable for many people. If it warns, if it speaks about some frauds that can be actual for many. If it makes fun. If it has funny pictures, funny quotes. If it inspires, wisdoms, case studies, I think that could be one of your content types. If it surprises, then we have some non-trivial facts or pictures. If it unites, the content that emphasize connection with a particular group. For example, I could share, this pictures that if you are typical PR specialist, if you and then something funny goes, for example, or you are, you are mother working from home, then something happens for you. And this is this very actually emotional and good working way to get more shares, that if you use this this possibility to connect people. Then, very important, keep it short. Actually, what we are doing at the present moment, we are working on, we try to grab the attention of the audience. Actually, audience attention is a very resource that we miss all the time, and it is limited. So to be really effective, we need to not to just share, I don't know, you have a press release and you just share it on your social media as a post. Please spend some time, but make it a post, just post that is made specially for Facebook, taking into account the specific of this channel. And here also are several studies that show that Facebook statuses of 40 till 80 characters perform best. What does it mean? That means better engagement, better visibility, better results in communication. So as I mentioned, that we need to have some budgets, and we need to use them smartly. I guess here you can see the bulletin. I guess that all of you, that you saw this boost post button. Have you? Mm-hmm. Just some of you that have cameras? Yes, I see that you have. Never use this button. Forget this button, please. From now on, never. If you use this button in your nightmare, I will come and look at you like that. Please don't do that. This button is made for people who don't understand how to work with Facebook. And if you advertise your posts, if you boost your posts through this button, then you are limited with possibilities to target. You are limited with final data. After you receive the statistics, there will be very small information. And your post will be not so well visible, advertised, and you will pay more for that than if you do it correctly. So we forget this. How to do it correctly? There is a Facebook, business Facebook, or business manager, as they call it, direction, where you can manage it in a professional way. And that it it was developed kind of more like for agencies who are working for the brands, but now of course it became so wise to use Facebook for advertising. Then of course today all the advertising who want to be visible, who wants to do it correctly, they use this. Another way how you could be effective, I recommend you also to use Creator Studio, where you can post, you can schedule your publications. You can, for example, if you need to post something to your Instagram, that is a product now, the product of Facebook as well, is connected with Facebook, then in this connection, if you need to post something to IGTV, then in this case, you should use this Creator Studio, because if you have a video that would be longer than 1 minute and you would try to post it from your phone, well, good luck to you. I don't recommend to spend your nerves on that. Use this Creator Studio. It will make your life easier. Another way is that when you communicate about your projects, in some cases you can use some very good life hacks that are free for you. You don't have to pay for it in addition, but they really make your communication more targeted and more effective. And one of them is the possibility to post in different languages. You post your basic post, you choose the language, then you can post in additional languages, and people that usually use this Facebook, this channel, well, actually, Facebook is very clever. So it's not just the question of the language that app is used, but also that what language links you open more often, what language you use when you write someone in comments or in direct messages. Well, all these technologies today are very smart, and then they analyze our behavior. So they know what language will be more comfortable for you to see the posts. And then, of course, when we see these posts in a language that is more comfortable for us, then we will perceive them easier and in more comfortable way. So use this life hack as well. Another thing is that if you know that you want to target audience in a special region, or maybe only women or only men, you can use also free targeting possibility. Here I'm showing you it's in publishing tools, and then it goes the subcategory public, and there you can choose, is it seen for everyone, etc. But also you can choose the newsfeed targeting, and there you can choose some possibilities about this region that people from this region should see, etc., etc. Why is it important? The more concrete you show your post to more concrete audience, more selected audience, and if they see it, if it's actual for them, and they start to interact with your posts, it's a good signal for Facebook that it is interesting. If it's a news for a special region, and I don't know, maybe people from other regions, they won't be interested, but you show it to everyone, then these people from other regions who see it but don't react with it, they just make worse your statistics. I hope that you are with me, that you understand what I'm saying. So use all these possibilities to target your audience in a very, very clever way. And this is still that what I'm saying at the present moment, this still doesn't request from you any budgets. Next, I guess you've heard about Facebook 20% text rule. It used to be a really big problem that if you have some texts on your pictures that you use on Facebook, then you couldn't boost it, and it was very bad, with a very bad visibility, and it really depended on, they used this, you see the illustration, and they used this kind of methodology to analyze your picture, and it was very dependent on where your text is, because you see that in the it's very similar picture with the same amount and size of your text, but you can see that in first it's kind of just putting it in different ways. We see that this machine analyzed it as it was more or less 20%. So now the machines become more clever. That is a good news, and now Facebook has a text overlay tool. They still don't like too many texts in your pictures, and it still will be well, this visibility could be limited. But what they are saying, okay, now we have kind of 4 criteria of analyzing of your text proportions. So okay, low, medium, and high, and you can use this tool to analyze your picture from the point of view of Facebook. Is it okay, low, high, etc.? And then you see they advises on should you do something with this picture, because even now today they say, okay, if you are ready to spend your money, we will take your money and we will show it, we will advertise it, but we will show it, it will be more expensive and less people will see it. But still, if you want, we can do it. Is it a good answer for us? I'm not sure. So that's why we should work on to have this great, and to follow how Facebook is looking at this text. What it is good news? Oh, I'm sorry, I've moved somewhere. What is a good news is that they I hope that you see not text and not text at the present moment slide. What they see, they have changed some things for a good, because they used to interpret that infographics, for example, were kind of text from their point of view, and it wasn't possible to boost, to advertise infographics. It usually was a problem in such projects like yours. At the present moment, they have policy that infographics is not treated as text anymore, but still please follow these possibilities to check your visuals before you start to advertise them. And another question is that actually there are surveys that show that not always actually text is a good idea to use in your posts, and in some cases just really alive, good, nice, emotional picture is working much better. So another thing is that we still are thinking about engagement of the audience, and why is it important? It's from the organization's point of view, from your strategic communication point of view, it's a good way to attract attention of the audience, to make some co-responsibility feeling. Because if you asked people to vote for something, I don't know, the name of your project or the way you will use the logo, the visuals, I don't know, anything, then they will feel kind of co-responsible for the project as such and for this name as well. You can build relationships. You can achieve some experience effect that people, maybe they can't visit you, they will never, I don't know, see this project in reality, maybe, I don't know, some of them, but you can show them how it is happening, how you're working on them, and they will have this kind of illusion that they've seen it, they were there, and they are doing that. So you can also demonstrate these details and explain through these details your projects in more clever and clear way. You can get some feedback that is also very important to understand some things that you could improve, and you can test some ideas. So very good strategic things that you can get. From users' perspective, the greater is our involvement in the process, the better we remember it. We have some golden rules that people remember 10 of what they hear, 40% of what they see, and 90% of what they do. You just need to involve people to make them remember and think about these projects. And from the technical perspective, as I mentioned, Facebook is very, very much working on its algorithm that decides which post stories will appear in users' newsfeed. And your page will be more visible if your followers actively interact with it and put likes, comments, shares, etc., direct messages, or mention you somehow. Comments are with a bigger value than likes, and the more active reaction comes right after publication, the better. It's also very important to think what time you choose for the publication. So if this is a time when all your audience is sleeping or working hard, and they don't react just in a couple of minutes, then just algorithm thinks that maybe it's not so interesting and it doesn't show it. And what is even more important, this is a kind of fresh update of Facebook, is that friends' posts are more visible than organizations. That means that we need to not only to communicate from your organizational profile of Facebook, but also to ask your employees, your colleagues, participants of your projects personally to share the news of the projects, to speak about it, because that is the way how you can make it really be more visible, not only through the organizational posts. Well, some additional facts. As I mentioned, it's very important to to plan strategically what is the time when your audience is more active in engagement with you. This is from technical point of view is very important for you. Please analyze your insights of Facebook to see, you can see in your insights what are the posts that get more engagement, what are the times when your audience is more engaged with you. Use these statistics to plan your activities, because the half of likes are perceived in first 80 minutes after publication, the half of your likes of the reactions. And you can see that almost all the reactions we get during the first 22 hours. So it's really important to know when. And here are some statistics from the surveys. I would say the kind of average temperature of the hospital, but of course it shows us something, but what we see is that we should not just stay on the working hours, because social media is the space where we go just sometimes to have a rest, just to feel our pauses, and then non-working hours, early mornings, or right after the work, when people are traveling in transport, or late in the night when all the homeworks are made, children are sleeping, and of course what we should do, we should go to our gadgets to grab some positive attitude, you know. Then we see that these times they get 20% bigger engagement than made in working hours. So please think from the perspective of followers, of your followers, not from perspective of your working hours. Really sorry, but we have to do that. Then also we have Sunday potential, when Saturday is usually kind of more working day, when not working but maybe busy day, when we do some things that we can't do during the working days, but we still are busy. And Sundays usually people, we see also in our campaigns that people are more kind of free, and they have this time and they go to social media, etc., etc. And on Monday, actually, we usually try to avoid to post something on Mondays, because there is a lot of informational noise, and don't plan maybe your posts, very important posts on Mondays, or just repeat them later in other words, in other formulation, because people just could skip them. And second, they have many works, maybe they just won't be so active on Facebook. So how to engage more? And here are some findings from Facebook that they say us recommend us. That caption below video increases views by 20%. So not only post your videos, but describe them in a very short way, as you remember. Questions to increase engagement, and I will develop this question a bit. And if you are advertising, or your video or your material gets to the point in 5 seconds, then you are the winner, because they will remember it best. That is why we also on YouTube have this bumper ads that are only 6 seconds, but they need to get you to the point very fast. And that is what we are actually going to, that we need to, in some cases, to attract this attention, we need to become really, really short formatted. And it is better to use visuals with the size ratio of 1:1 or 4:5 in the newsfeed. You have these illustrations to understand better what I'm speaking about. So this also, actually, these technical moments also are important, because there were some surveys showing that in case if you use not relevant format, you posting it, you get less engagement, you get less visibility, and you also get less you get more expensive advertising if you try to advertise them. So if you speak about questions really are important, and we see that posts ending with a question receive bigger feedback, and the best questions is that start with where and when, and the worst question is why, and that is connected that it's easier to answer questions that start with where did you go for your last vacation, or when did you, I don't know, start sporting some sports, etc. And why it asks from us some argumentation. We don't want to look silly, and etc. etc. So this also small detail also is very important. So here are some recommendations about visible post formulas. These are the formats that usually are used to that they usually get more engagement. So get what you want. That means that there is some topical question that people want to know the answer, and you use it kind of the topic to attract the attention, and then use it in your post to develop from the perspective of your topic, of your field. History and future, some facts, how it happened 5 years ago and what is happening now. This dynamics in the years, it usually really people really liked it during these times. I've seen that, for example, we have some shop that offers some local farmers production, and they had information that they have sold during the working years. They have sold so many eggs of and etc. So that could be kind of statistics that could be also interesting and attractive. Facts, true, and myths, and this is the typical news portals approach, that 5 myths about the topic that you didn't know, that you should know. Problems and fears. Here we can understand that really the problem that people are thinking about, and to show how your project can help them in this problem. How to, another very popular, very good way to attract attention, how to choose, how to do, how to understand, what to analyze when you do something, etc. And some tips and tricks, and the best and the worst. Some tops that we actually also enjoy a lot when we have this the best ways, the best cases and the worst cases, etc. So what we see is actually every word means, but even more we see it is connected with the headlines. And we have very, very bizarre statistics, but it is true that about 60% of links are shared on social media without opening. We make our conclusions on the base of headlines very often. Of course, this is a start of very big discussion regarding fake news power and why it's still working, because we are doing that. But it's also a very good signal for us as communicators that our headlines should be very informative and very clever. And here is my illustration is just the top news from one of the news portals, and that is what I wanted to say, that if you want to understand how to write good headlines of your news, for example, that you later will share on Facebook from your webpage, then just try to learn from the news portals, and this is because they know how to do it. Go again back to journalism practice. So, and if you speak about headline formula, then it should be short. It should be short, no more than 5 words. It should reflect the content of the text. We are not speaking about, yellow press that makes you just to click, and then they say that someone is dead, and then you open the link and you see that this popular person actually is alive. That you just imagine that he could be dead, or it was kind of dream or something. Then it won't work in our case, because people will be angry, and it won't work. It doesn't work in a corporate communication. But but so that's why our headline should reflect the content. It should include also keywords of that you need to emphasize, and it should be really clear without the context and without specific explanation, because we should think that 60% of people who will see it that will not open it, but they, if you do it smart, they will understand what you wanted to say. Another life hack that I want to tell you from our agency's practice is, in some cases when we have news published on website, we understand that different audiences will perceive this information from very different angles. And if, I don't know, if you have some tips that are really would work for everyone. I don't know how to save health of people in pandemics, and we have some kind of tips from virus, you know. And then we have, for example, audience employers. Then we target on them posts how to save the health of your employees, of your colleagues, not to have some financial, you know, problems. If then we can think about audience, young people who care about their parents. Then how to protect your parents from this virus. Then how to protect yourself. The tips will be the same. The tips will work for everyone. But if we later posting these different posts and targeting them on very specific audience, then you can get very good visibility and very good targeting of your news. Another format that is very important at the present moment is videos. And we have forecast that in 2022, more than 80% of consumer internet messages will be delivered via video format. And it develops, and now at the present moment, we see that it's still in the growing stage. Today, what means a good video? Actually, a good video is okay if it's raw, clever, creative, and snackable. I really like this formulation because it can be kind of, it not always should be very professional. Ansis showed us a very good, very professional video of this young boy. But in some cases, when we show this, our daily routine, some small elements of the project, it's very okay if it's raw, clever, creative, and snackable. Snackable is a very nice word. You don't should think that people will see it and consume it and it will be something really important in their lives. No, colleagues. They're just standing in a queue to some shops or waiting for something, and they have some seconds to skip it. And so if it's snackable, if it's nicely snackable, then it will work. So it should be vertical, just because that we are used to use our phones like that, with subtitles, do it yourself style, and it should be quite short. If it's longer, then it should be live content. It could be interviews, it could be discussions, your daily life, maybe some bigger scenes of your daily life, but of course it should be also meaningful and interesting. Behind the scenes workshops, questions, answers, etc. Then it should have some additional value for your audience, and it also could be even longer. And it's very, very okay if you have some non-planned, non-first, some reviews, some live broadcasts. People really like it when it's really alive content. And okay, for the last kind of cherry on this cake, I could say that another thing that we are working on at the present moment is that we need to actually free ourselves for this strategical thinking and communication planning, but to give some technical communication with our audiences to smart computers and smart robots. And so this is the trend that we are working on, this clever chatbots, and I would like to emphasize clever chatbots because my hobby is also kind of cheating chatbots, trying to ask them very different questions and see their reactions. And I see that not all the chatbots actually at the present moment are very clever. And of course, I understand that this is a very complicated technology and we are working on that. But if we have this clever chatbot, that then also we have some forecasts that even in this year, 85% of communication with customers will take place without human intervention. That means that robots will do that. Of course, this is a global statistics. I'm sure that if we speak about Latvia, it will be a bit less. But this is where we are moving, and you can. Actually, chatbot activation is not so complicated on Facebook, and with the help of chatbot, you can provide quick answers to frequently asked questions anytime when you don't have your working time, but people want to ask you something. You can get feedback from customers, and you can explain some questions that they can have. So. This is a kind of, we had very short time, but I wanted to give you very many ideas on how you can improve your Facebook communication. And I really hope that now we really can agree that the question, should we or why, we just don't formulate such a question. The question is only how. So thank you very much for your attention, for your time. Please let me know if you have time for questions, and if you have questions, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Olga, for your valuable insights and usable tips and tricks. So do we have any questions for Olga? If not, may I ask, maybe you can suggest some pages where we can look for some insights for good practice. Facebook.
You know, there are some sites that really publish a lot of updates. I will share with you this presentation, and maybe I could put in this presentation at the last slide or in my email accompanying this this presentation some links. I think that would be more productive because it really is important to follow, because these updates, they are coming all the time. If you're working with Facebook, it's really happened that you enter your business manager today, and it doesn't mean that tomorrow it will look like that as it looked today. They really are improving something. It's I'm not actually communicators. I think none of us are happy about it, but they are improving everything all the time. So I think that this Facebook looks like our summer house. It was built many years ago, but by my husband grandfather, and they were limited. They could build very specific concrete, you know, it was Soviet times, very concrete building. And later, when we had possibility to develop it, then we started to build some additional things, and it would be much better to, you know, to have just everything off and just to have one new building. I see that Facebook is kind of this summer house that they used to create, and that now they are trying to make some additional moments. That is why in some cases it is quite complicated to understand where now with this button or something. But that is why I will share with you some links where you can follow, just be systematical and analyze, and then you will know all these new updates. And what is one more actually advice from my side is, as soon as you see in any social media new feature, something new that they offer, for example, they didn't offer stories format and now they have stories format, for example, try to use it, because as soon as they have the new feature, they make it more visible for the followers, because they want people to start using. So you will be just more visible. You will not have to invest money or something new. And as soon as it is still a new feature, you don't know how to use it correctly, but nobody knows because it's a new feature. Then people will, will say it's okay even if you make some mistakes. So this is another advice. We also try to use it, and we really see that it gives results. You see a new feature, you just start using it.
Okay, thank you, Olga. Thank you, Ansis, for your valuable ideas. I hope projects now can communicate better, even better, both on Facebook and with media. And as I already mentioned, all presentations and recording of today's webinar will be available on How to Implement section on our website. Sorry for being half an hour late, and enjoy your lunch. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye-bye to everyone.